Al Angelo, A+ Racing, the Econo build. So the next step I'm going to teach you guys is how to replace the steering wheel. Now, it's not on the Econo build list, but being that I'm of a plus size, I have to take the steering wheel off in order to get in and out of the car. You could run the stock steering wheel, all right? You could do it. So if you're on a really super tight budget, you can still do it, but at least let's get rid of the airbag. All right, so let me show you what I do on my steering wheel modification. Now, I picked up this setup right here, and yeah, one of my subscribers going, that's my wheel. No, I didn't steal that out of your car. I paid you for it, remember? So my buddy Mark over at Rockland Automotive, he sold me this wheel setup for 280 bucks, I think it was. That's a pretty good deal. It comes with the adapter, has a really nice quick release on it, and a Momo wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one on our Econo build. So. And we're also going to have to make a modification to the steering wheel lock. So if you come over here and look over my left shoulder, you'll kind of see that we're rolling stock, all right? So let me show you step by step how I do this. All right, so one, right behind here, there are a couple of little rubber plugs. I don't know if Mike can see, they're right down in here, okay? So what I'm going to do, there's one on each side, is I'm just going to pull those little rubber plugs off, okay? So I pulled those off. All right, and I'm taking off the airbag. The key's off. I got my screw gun in here, and there's a little 10 millimeter in here. There's one. And there's the other one, and you know these are going to go into the bucket of bolts. All right, we'll set them right here for now. So here's the airbag set up right here. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it as soon as I figure out how to. There it is. Okay. Be careful with this thing. You don't want this thing blowing up in your face, all right? And so I'll set this aside. Okay, so now we just have the steering wheel here. So we're not going to use this steering wheel, and I need to get it off. So at this point, most of the time when you watch these videos online or you read in the book, they're going to talk about going and getting the steering wheel puller. So let me show you how I do it without the steering wheel puller, because I'm kind of cheap that way. All right, so I got me a 13/16. Looks like I might have to put a short extension on here. I'm going to see if I can loosen up this nut here. There. So I'm going to loosen up the nut that holds the steering wheel off. Okay? And I'm not going to take it all the way off. Okay? I'm going to take it off right there. Now it is threaded right here. If you zoom in on this, you can see it's threaded for a puller. And so, but we're not going to use the puller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the brake pedal. That's right, the brake pedal. So I'm going to step on the brake. I'm going to grab the wheel right here, and I'm going to wiggle it back and forth. Huh? No steering wheel puller, because you subscribed to my channel. All right, so that was it. So let me finish taking this off. Huh? Yeah, well, we don't need that. All right, we're getting rid of that. Okay, so now what we're left here is actually a very expensive part. This is the clock spring, okay? And so we can get rid of the clock spring. We're going to take these panels off, and we're going to prepare this for our new steering wheel adapter. And I also have to modify the key so that the steering wheel doesn't lock. So all of that's going to come up in just a minute, and we'll be back in a second. Thanks. Okay, I'm back. All right, let me show you the next step. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead and take off this cowling, and it comes off with a Phillips, and there are literally just 3 screws underneath here that you have to take off. Okay, now keep track where the screws go, because sometimes they're a little different. So there's one right here, a little short one, and there's one right here. There's a little, like an indentation in the plastic that you stick your Phillips into, and then you can fill the screw in there. so sometimes a little difficult to find it. Come on now, don't be stubborn. Trying to help you out here. Get my knee out of the way. All right, that's it. Yep. Okay. There's that one. And there's one more down in here. So I take this one off, and then the whole cover will be able to come out. Okay, there that one is. All right. Now I should be able to just pop this cover off. Take the key out. All right. Set that one aside. Set that one aside. So now we're looking at the clock spring here. You could sell this for money, so maybe you don't break it. All right, it's just held on with 3 screws right here. So there's one right here. Don't spin this thing around a bunch of times or you'll break it. If you're trying to sell it, because a lot of them get broken. This operates the airbag and the horn, that kind of stuff. If you had like accessories on your steering wheel, like volume control for the radio or something like that, then it would control all of those also. But we don't have that, but still worth some money. All right. And then we'll pull it off, okay? And it just unplugs right here, so usually a button. And these plug off. There's that one. That comes off there. There we go. Okay, that's off. All right. This is my turn signal detent that turns the turn signal off once we make a turn. And then a spring. And then we're pretty much done with that. So now what I can put on now is my adapter. So this is the adapter that switches it from this steering column to my steering wheel mount. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back on there. Should fit on like that. And we got our 13/16 bolt. Now these wires here, we go, well, what are those for? Well, those are if you wanted to use the horn. We rarely use the horn in Spec Miata, so I'll probably just get rid of those here in the future. All right. So let's tighten this back up. Okay. All right. This is a nylock, so it won't fall off. All right, so the next step of putting the steering wheel on is to go ahead and bolt this on. And we can, but I don't have the screws or the Allen wrench with me right at this moment. So I'm going to hold off on that. And then I don't want to put these on yet for the fact that I need to modify the ignition switch so that when the key is out, that the vehicle doesn't have a locking steering wheel. So that's what we're going to do next. All right. Okay, so we're back. In this section, I'm going to show you how to do the lock modification. So the problem is that we cannot have the steering wheel capable of locking with the keys out. They're afraid that the steering wheel might lock while you're racing. So it's kind of hard to see in the car. So what I did is I rummaged through my old pile and I found an ignition switch to a Miata. Okay, it doesn't even look like this one works right. But I still can show you what we need to do. All right, so I'm going to show you here so it's easy for you to see it. And then I'm going to go apply it to the car. So on the bottom of the ignition switch, right here, there is a little plate. Now, somebody already drilled this hole. I don't know if it was me from years gone by or whatever, but the hole is already drilled out, and there's usually a spring right in here. And then right here is that square little plunger. That's what locks the steering wheel from turning, okay? So this locks up the steering column. So being that this hole is already here, now, the spring, what it does is it helps keep that plunger from pushing up. But I like to just take the whole plate off, so I don't think I did this. So I'm going to go ahead and try to put this in the vise without breaking it, because it's still a good ignition switch. All right. So in the car, what I would do, come close, Mike, is that I would drill this hole in the car from underneath the steering column. I'd look for this plate, and I'm going to drill that hole. Then I'm going to get something and just stick it in there and just pop this out like that. Okay. And then when I pop that out, the spring is going to fall out with it, and we're done. We don't have to take anything else out. Okay. So it's pretty simple. So you're just going to remove this piece right here, like drill a hole, pry it out, so that it comes out of here, the spring, and maybe even sometimes some of these guts even come out also. I don't know if this one comes out, but looks like it's stuck in there. But then that's okay. It doesn't need to come all the way out because it can't be pushed up now and lock the steering wheel. Okay, so we're going to make that modification to our Econo build project, and then we can go ahead and put the covers back on everything. So I'm going to bring back when we get to that step. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back at the car, and I drilled a hole on the bottom of that little plate. So Mike's going to come in, get in, and show you the hole that I drilled. Go ahead, Mike. Show him underneath there. And you should be able to see the hole that I drilled in the little plate. Okay, you got it? All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop that little plate out right here. So I got my little pry bar in there. There's the plate. And I didn't quite get all of it. Get the rest of it. There we go. And you see that here goes the little spring, okay, that was in there. So now the steering wheel can't unlock anymore or can't lock up. All right, so let's finish this thing up. Okay. I'll get rid of these when I go to pull the dash out, and I'll get rid of those for the roll cage. Okay, so this is the top piece. Now, hey, I got to show you something here. So you can see that, come on in here real close. There's little tabs right here, and they actually coincide with these holes. I see this all the time where people put these things on, and they don't get it lined up perfectly. And so it's kind of like off like this or whatever. It just looks bad. You know, when you get the things lined up right and everything is plugged in correctly, man, it's a nice clean look. So spend a little time here putting this on so that it just looks real good. And you can see here's where the screws mount through from the bottom. All right, so we got the key out already. We're going to slip this in. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to put my screws back in where they came from. All right. I don't think I got it. I'll start off with another one. Sometimes it's easier if you, because once you get it all lined up on the first screw, then it all kind of goes together pretty easy. All right, there's that one. Okay, I'm going to go to the back one right here. All right, we're going to try this one again here. And you can see that looks nice and clean. Got a real clean look to it. I want it to look like we didn't have to make a bunch of modifications on it. Well, I didn't catch it. Might be back a little bit. This is probably the reason why people leave them off, because they are sometimes kind of hard to line up. Difficulties. I don't think I can put this one in there. Oh, I like that one a lot better. Okay, all right. So now we can put our steering wheel adapter on, or not adapter, but our steering wheel quick release right here. Has some Allen wrenches right there, and then we're done. This will go on there and we'll be all finished. Okay, so we can get that done. I don't have them right here. But hey, so as you saw, it's not that hard to do. You got to make sure you get rid of that ignition switch lock, and then you'll be golden. All right. Hey, it didn't cost us really any money to do this modification with the lock. So this is part of our Econo build. I picked up the steering wheel for a pretty good deal. But like I said, on the Econo build, you don't have to change the wheel, but you do have to get rid of that lock. All right. Okay, that wraps up this video for the steering wheel. I'll see you at the racetrack. Bye now.